All right, good Friday morning. It is the 13th day of January 2017. It feels weird saying 2017, but I'm finally getting there. Good morning, Sheriff.
Morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm thawed out.
Thawed out. Yeah, this is. I was waking up this morning. I thought it seems like it's been forever since I've been to the studio doing on a
You
radio
don't work
show
anymore.
I just laid out last week and Friday and Saturday, and I was like, do I remember what the sheriff even looks like?
We were talking at work today about how busy things have been, and I said yesterday was the day I thought would never end. It just one thing after another, and you didn't get lunch yesterday. I went all day without eating and those kind of things. And our administrative assistant up front, she said, "You know what the problem is?" I said, "What?" And she said, "We've had so many vacations and snow days and breaks and stuff. We had to work a full week."
That does make sense.
She said, "That's what the problem is. That's why everything's so busy." But I guess that's true.
It is true, yeah. It's and just looking at the TV screen there, all those 60s across the top.
It looks like spring weather, don't it?
Emma was mentioning that this morning, how good those 60s looked.
Yeah.
And I was wholeheartedly in agreement with Emma. And but yeah, last week we had the snow event. Did we have any issues last week with snow, with traffic or anything like that?
Didn't have any major events. It was kind of a good weekend. Snow didn't last too awfully long, so it kind of got out of here fairly quick. The biggest issues, I think, was the cold weather last weekend, getting down in single digits. And I know a lot of churches still canceled on Sundays. Ours did. Not so much because of the snow, but so much of the ice combined with the single-digit temperatures. And but I think everybody seemed to make it through that pretty good, and so we didn't have any major incidents that I know of.
Well, very good. I know a lot of people do get out there on the roads when it's icy, and they can cause some issues. And we always ask people to remember that if they're in an accident, just doing things unnecessarily, they're putting other people in harm's way as well. So, but we appreciate a lot of people, and we also.
Well, I think it really helped also that the snow came on the weekend.
That was very nice. Yes,
I think that was the benefit of that, where you didn't have people trying to get home from work and getting to work and those kind of things, or for the most part. And so you had all day Saturday because most people were going to be home anyway on Saturday, so. We got to get out and play in the snow and sled with the kids and ride four-wheelers and all those kind of things. So we just had a big day on Saturday and spent a lot of time. My daughter was home from college, so that was great. And so we had both of our children there and had friends over, and we just played all day on Saturday.
Yeah, the timing was good for the snow.
It was.
With it happening on a Friday night. And we still had school closings on mainly because of the cold temperatures and the still unthawed roads on Monday and Tuesday as well.
But I did learn something.
What's that?
I did learn that when we were sledding on Saturday that there at my house we took their side-by-sides and four-wheelers, and as we were sledding off the hill, we had people driving, picking people up at the bottom and bringing them back to the top. So that works out a whole lot better than it does walking back up the top of the hill.
So you actually did get out and have some fun in the snow.
I did have fun, and we had fun all day long. And so when you can drive back to the top of the hill, that you get a lot more sledding in that.
It's good to be a kid again, isn't it?
It is.
I haven't been sledding I guess I was a kid last time.
Well, that was the first time I've been in years, so it was good though. I wasn't sore or anything, but which really surprised me.
I remember getting the maybe this is from the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I remember getting the when I was a kid the dishpan, using that as a sled, and that worked really well.
Yeah, I can remember that, and really when we were kids, we just whatever you could find that would slide on the snow, you'd sit on and go down off the hill. But things have changed a lot, and a lot more commercialized as far as sledding and stuff, and But we have fun, and I think that's the main thing, is just spending time with your family, having fun, and making the best out of bad situations. So,
and we had tons. Just want to thank all of our listeners and Facebook followers who submitted photos. That's one thing we usually ask when we have a snow event, for people to post videos or photos on our Facebook page.
Right.
We had hundreds of photos of people just having fun or just showing us what the snow looked like in their communities, and even we asked people to post their temperatures for that morning. And one morning it got down to 0 degrees at the airport.
Right.
I kept on following the temperature at the airport every hour. And it did get down to 0, and that's pretty cold.
Right.
And
one of our deputies, I know he posted on his Facebook page, he was coming to work, I think it was that same morning, he was coming to work, and when he got in his patrol vehicle, he took a picture of the dash that said 1 degree, and he said, "Oh, what a day to go to work!"
Fun time.
Yeah.
So how does cold weather and snow events, how does that affect the sheriff's office and patrolling and all that good stuff?
Well, like I say, we continue patrolling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless of the weather or the situations that's out there. But one of the things that we try to do is prepare with our four-wheel drive vehicles. What we've done with our patrol fleet is, if you've noticed, we have a lot of different types of vehicles on the road. We have Explorers on the road now that's marked patrol vehicles. We have the Ford Interceptor cars that are on the road, and the Dodge Chargers that are on the road. And so you can get those, and most of our cars, especially our Fords and our not just the Ford cars, but also the Explorers, are four-wheel drive vehicles or all-wheel drive vehicles. Right. And so even the patrol cars that are out there now, when it snows, they don't have the same problems they did in years past, because they can just continue to patrol. Especially with the Ford Interceptors, they're on the same body frame, same chassis as the Ford Explorer. Just with the tire difference and the shock difference, they're about a half an inch to an inch lower than the Explorer, but it's on the exact same frame. So you get that all-wheel drive vehicle out there. So when it snows, they don't miss a beat; they just keep patrolling. But for those that's in Chargers and other vehicles that's not four-wheel drives, we have additional unmarked vehicles. We have Humvees and different things, trucks and different stuff that they can pick up and patrol in if they need to. So we just have to make sure that everything's up and running, snow tires are on, all those kind of things. And but we just continue on just like we always do.
Whenever a student goes through basic law enforcement training, is the BLET,
right,
is driving in these conditions, is that part of the program?
It is. What they do is they use what they call a skid car as far as your driving part of that. And it has these little hydraulic wheels that extend out from each of your four wheels. They extend out with these metal frame around the car. And they use parking lots, but what they do, they can simulate icy conditions. Mm-hmm. And these hydraulic wheels, what they do is they can put them on the ground and raise your car up off the ground to where it's just barely touching the pavement. Mm-hmm. And so they can adjust that with different heights and stuff. And so you simulate driving on ice and driving on snow. So there's a whole driving course and all kind of different things they do through BLET to prepare for that.
Is there a pretty large interest in our area for people attending the BLT, and is there a need right now for more officers?
Well, there's always a need for more officers. We're at full staff right now at the sheriff's office. We've had people come and go over the last couple of years, but we've always had people ready to step right in to that. So we currently keep some part-timers and people on for ready to move into positions if someone leaves. And I think Andrews and Murphy PD both is at full staff right now. Andrews may not be, but I think they are at full staff. I know Murphy's at full staff. So we're not have positions that's open ready to put people in, but we are all the time seeking people that are willing to work at least on a part-time basis. Fill in for officers that are taking vacations or out with their family or special events or working court system or serving civil process and just even patrolling. Sometimes you just need that extra body out there to patrol. So we're all the time seeking for people that would be interested in coming in at least on a part-time basis in hope of seeking a full-time job. And the question about BLET, they are not just here at Tri-County or Southwestern or AB Tech or any of these places. That's all seems to be the same everywhere around our country. Is we are getting fewer and fewer candidates every year for law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And, the media has driven a lot of this. The social media has driven a lot of this. And when you ask people about the situation, you got to put it in perspective. If you're a 21-year-old person out here that's looking for a career and trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life, and you've got an option of coming to work at a sheriff's office or a police department, and they're going to pay you $14, $15 an hour to start out, and you get the opportunity to get shot at, to get abused, to get spit on, to get harassed, to get in fights. The opportunity that once you do use action against somebody, then you get scrutinized through the media, through social media, through the mainstream media, and everybody second-guessing every move you did and talking bad about you. They have the option of doing that for $14 or $15 an hour, or they could go to Walmart and work for $14, $15 an hour. So that's one of our big problems right now with getting new recruits into law enforcement. I know everything's not about the pay. I know pay's not all, but that is a big factor in things when you have young people that's trying to decide what they're going to do with the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. And So that's a problem, with the recruits that's coming in there, getting enough people. But I think it has more to do with just the social media and society than it does about the pay. Most law enforcement officers, if not all law enforcement officers, I don't know of any that don't fit in this category, don't go into law enforcement for the money. If you're going into it to get rich or for the money, come talk to me and let me explain some things to you. But you don't go into law enforcement about the money. You go into law enforcement because you care about people, you want to help people, you want to be there for your community. But just like we've talked about before, even though money's not everything, money sure helps when the bank calls and wants their payment.
Oh yes,
and so
it's not cheap to live anymore.
No, it isn't. It isn't. And the bank don't care whether you're in law enforcement or work at Ingalls or work at a theater or work wherever, one of the plants or wherever. They don't care where you work. They just want their money. And so, like I say, it's important that we not only change the image of law enforcement, that we become more professional, that we do the things that we need to do. But also, I think it's important that the county and the towns and the state understands that you've got to invest into your law enforcement. You got to invest in your EMS and your fire and all the service-based things. And the way that you invest in them is you put the money into it and you help them with their salaries and getting those incomes that will help them sustain and live and raise a family.
All right. We've been communicating with Chief Jacobs about the Peachtree Street being closed down for that courthouse. What is going on with the courthouse? They're
doing
there.
Yeah, they're doing a renovation to the dome on the courthouse. I think they experienced some leaks and some different things that was going on there in the courthouse. And as they got to investigating some of the things that was happening there and trying to figure out how to repair it, there were some structural problems and some different things just because of the age of the courthouse. And
how old is that courthouse? Do you know?
I don't know. I should have checked on that before I came. I know they rebuilt it like 3 or 4 different times, and I'm not sure when the latest one was. The courthouse has been burnt down, I think, twice. That it was burnt down. That's why they built it out of marble, so they couldn't burn it down.
Right.
And but one of the things with that courthouse is it was very interesting. Is when they took the dome off the courthouse and brought it down to inspect, which they already knew this from being up there and looking at it. There were several bullet holes in the top of the courthouse.
Oh, really?
There were arrows that had been shot in the top of the courthouse.
Arrows?
Yeah, like from years past. I'm not going to say it's from 1800s or 17. I don't know when it was, but someone at some time in history had done that, and so there was a lot of those what we call character to the courthouse.
Added some character to it, and but just those things like that's very interesting. But what their plans are, they're going to redo that dome. They're going to rebuild it. Fix all the things that needs to be fixed. They're going to go into the top and fix all those structural things that needs to be fixed. And then once the dome gets completed, they'll bring it back to Murphy, and then they will reset it back on top of the courthouse. Okay.
Yeah.
So I did see a video that the thing has landed on the ground.
It has landed
safely.
It has landed safely,
and they were doing the inspections there, and I think they had to do some disassembly there.
Right.
And any certain time frame do you know about as far as when that comes
I do
back?
not know. I think it'll take a couple months probably before they get it back, but I don't know what that time frame is.
All right, but hopefully the Peachtree Street will open back up to normal flow of traffic.
My
soon.
understanding is that once they kind of get the courthouse sealed with the covers and things they need to do there and get everything disassembled and loaded for transport, then they will reopen Peachtree Street back for normal traffic. And then once the dome gets repaired and brought back, then they'll shut it down again to put it back up there. That's the way I understand it.
Okay. There's a lot of people that use Peachtree Street.
There is.
And even though I've posted 2 closings that Peachtree Street is closed, even though I posted that on our Facebook, we announced on the radio, I still find myself cutting. Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Well, listen, I took a little walk down memory lane for the last couple of nights. I found in my closet that I had totally forgotten about some old VHS tapes of when I was a patrol officer, where I had a dash cam on my car of different things, traffic stops and chases and some different things that occurred while I was a patrol officer. And so I got an old VCR, blowed the dust off of it, plugged it up last night.
You still have a VCR?
I still got one, believe it or not. And got it out, and cleaned. I even took it apart and cleaned the dust out of it so it'd work. And put it back together, and for the last few nights before I went to bed, I've popped those tapes in and just kind of watched them, from back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it's the thing that stood out the most was not that I've changed, because I've not changed in 20 years. I'm still the same.
Not a bit.
but not so much that, but as the county, how the county's changed in just a matter of 10, 15, 20 years, I kind of chuckled last night as I was watching one of these, because as I was arresting people and bringing them back to the old jail in Murphy, it was, my video was still recording as I was driving them through town. And so I was picking out the old businesses and stuff that's not here anymore. The old Goodyear tire shop that used to be on 64 and Main Street used to be out there, and the Amoco station, and you didn't have Arby's and all that kind of stuff down on that side, and didn't have the Chinese place and the strip malls and all that kind of stuff. And so as I was watching that coming in, it was kind of funny, because it was 1 o'clock in the evening on one of these, and I kept noticing after I noticed this one, but they're from 64 West at Grizzly Bear all the way into town. I got behind one vehicle.
One vehicle.
One vehicle at 1 o'clock in the evening, all the way in. And then when I got into town, of course, there were other cars moving and stuff down at the McDonald's intersection. But I thought, just in a matter of 15, 20 years, how things have changed so much in Cherokee County with traffic and with business and with all these things. And not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's changed.
It has really grown since then,
and,
yes.
There's a lot of good things that's happened in the last 15, 20 years as far as getting industry and business and those type of things coming into Murphy. But I thought it was just neat, at looking at how things were when I started and what's going on now.
I saw a similar picture on Facebook, a before and after picture of Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Right.
How it wasn't that long ago. It was just a straight road down there without anything, and then all those businesses, everything tourism are related. It was just amazing to see that same strip of road.
Right.
And it seems like within like 40 years or so that place had just boomed.
Yeah.
And I try to remember the things that used to be here in Murphy, and it really has changed. Yeah. Even since I was a kid, and that wasn't that long ago.
Right. We're not that old, are we, Tim?
That's right. I'm glad that we're about the same age that you can agree with me when I say that I'm not old. So that works. Right. That works pretty well.
There you go. But things are busy. They are picking up. Going back and talking about how things have changed over the last 20 years or so, I did our numbers for 2016 and looked at those, and we are about a few hundred calls shy of answering 30,000 calls. Our sheriff's office answered 30,000 calls in 2016. We did I think it was 880 something, almost 890 purchase permits. Did about 650 concealed permits for 2016. Our victims advocacy unit was wide open. Our civil process served about 3,000 civil processes. We are very busy at the sheriff's office. I think a lot of people don't understand how busy we are and what our officers do during the day. So keeping that in mind before I forget it, Friday night, a week from today, next week, January 20th at 6 p.m., we'll be having our second annual officer award ceremony down at the Hackney warehouse down at the depot. We'll be having some finger foods, some drinks, just some mingle type stuff while people gather and fellowship and talk. And then we'll be doing our ceremony where we'll be giving our Officer of the Year award, our Detention Officer of the Year, Dispatcher of the Year, those type of things. And so and we'll be showing some videos and talking about some other stuff Sheriff's Office does. And we want to thank our Murphy and Andrews Police Departments. We want to thank the Highway Patrol and all the people in our area that helps us do law enforcement. So we want to spend a night of just celebration of 2016 and talking about what happened in 2016 and showing the community and the public what great officers we have and what they do. So that is open to the public. If anybody would like to come to that, they're more than welcome to come down there. And there will be special guests there. I mean, I know we'll be having judges and senators and different people will be attending that, congressmen and different people from different agency heads and stuff will be there. So if you'd like to come down and mingle and meet people and talk with people, just come on down and take part in that. We'd love to show you what we've done for 2016.
And that's 2 weeks from today at
1 week.
1 week from today.
Yeah, January 20th.
Oh, wow. It is the 13th already, isn't it?
Yep. 1 week from today.
1 week from today. At what time?
At 6 p.m. at the Hackney warehouse.
At the Hackney warehouse. Okay.
Yeah. So everybody's invited to that. Come on down.
Teresa over at 911 and I were talking one day, and we were talking about just the amount of traffic because we have cell phones now.
Right.
And I was trying to imagine how people did report things at one time when they were on, because a lot of things happen when people are traveling, when people call 911 now. So
when I started, the way things got reported like that was either after the person got back home, they would go home, pick up their telephone, then call back and say, hey, while I was on my way to the house, I saw a car sitting off the side of the road somewhere, or I saw an accident. The other way they did that was payphones. A lot of our younger generation don't know what payphones are, don't remember payphones, but when I started in law enforcement, we had payphones scattered throughout the county, and we had all the numbers memorized to where all the phones were. And it's funny, kind of, we dispatch that way sometimes because if we run out of radio range, the officer would tell the dispatcher, I'm going to Hiwassee Dam, call me at payphone number 10 or whatever. And then the dispatch would call the officer and he'd pick up the phone and answer at that place, you know. So payphones, home phones was the way most of that stuff got reported before.
Payphones were a big business at one time.
They were very big business.
And I don't know if we have any in Cherokee County left or not.
I don't know of any. There may be, but I don't know of any.
The last ones I remember were over at Valley Village Shopping Center there near the road.
Right.
That people would pull up and just talk from their car to the payphone. But,
I don't think there is. I don't recall seeing any payphones.
Yeah, I remember seeing a movie the other night, and I saw payphone in there. I thought, oh, memory lane. This must be an old movie.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, let's see. What else do we have going on? Let's see. This is January, so we're experiencing some nice warm weather right now, so that's a good change, but I don't think this is going to last.
Well, just a reminder, we do still have the firewood program at the sheriff's office, and I know those guys, their trustee inmates have been loading the trucks up. I've been seeing them loading them up and heading out with them during the day to take to different places. Where we encourage people, like I say, to go through the DSS Energy Assistance Program first. Try to go in there and talk to DSS about getting some help, and the reason we do that is because there are vendors through DSS that gets paid for delivering wood. So we encourage you to go through there first. And so these people who are making a living delivering wood can get a chance to deliver some wood and get reimbursed and get paid for it. So we encourage that first. But if it's an emergency situation or you've applied for DSS and got turned down and you're a senior citizen and you're needing wood, you can call Captain Patterson at the detention center. Let him know your situation, where you live, and we'll get some wood out to you to help you through your rough time. So I know that back early in the fall, early winter, late fall, there wasn't really a whole lot of talk about the wood program because we're 70 and 75 degrees every day, and people just wasn't talking about it. But through this last cold snap we had, I think people are starting to realize, hey, I can burn a lot of wood when it gets cold, so I need some wood here. And so we just want to know that is still offered out there if any senior citizens or anybody out there needs that. All
right. Has there been any reduction in the inmate work program with it being cold weather in winter? Has that been scaled back some because of weather?
Not really. Our we do things all year round, and so the thing about the work program and the inmate program is you have to meet certain criteria to do that. Right. We can't just go back to the detention center and just grab whoever we want out and put them on the work program. They are recommended by the judicial system. They are approved, and insurances and all kind of different things that go into that for that work program. And so they have to meet a certain criteria to be able to be outside the jail and work and interact with employees and potentially with the public. So that just really depends upon the court system. It depends on who we have in jail and who's available, type of thing. So weather really doesn't play a role on that. In the wintertime, when cold weather's going and all that, we do everything from from tree trimming. I noticed they trimmed some trees there at the jail the other day to try to trim back off the roads. They do the firewood program. We still do litter pickup and cleaning cemeteries and those type of things. And then when the spring comes and get into the spring season, those inmate work crews will work more into those roadside details and to those mowing details and those type of things, and weed eating and that kind of stuff. So we keep them pretty busy year round. The weather really does play a factor in it.
Well, I was just curious with the cold weather. If
it's extremely cold like it was this weekend in single digits, of course we're not going to ask those trustees to get out in that type of weather and work. There's we still use a little common sense, and try to treat it like we would any other place of business or any other employees that you might have. We certainly don't want to put those people in danger. We don't want to put our staff in danger of cold weather and those type of things. So it's just we play it by ear and what's available, and when it's time to go out and do stuff, we'll go out and work.
All right. I did get a text message from Chief Al Levengood from the Murphy Fire Department during this cold snap, and I figure it's good,
Right.
Even though we're not having extremely cold weather right now, good time to remember to change your batteries. If you have batteries in your smoke alarms or carbon monoxide detectors,
Right.
now's a good time to change those, because a lot of times when it gets really cold, like down to zero like we were, people will look for other sources of heat like candles or those space heaters that they may not be used to using all year, and those things can cause house fires, and they just want to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, I think that's important also to remember to do that. A lot of things, with batteries and stuff too, I know that temperature is generally regulated inside homes, but a lot of people fluctuate their heat up and down and type of things. And sometimes it can get really cold before you realize it's getting cold in there. You may go to bed of a night and the temperature is now 72, and may wake up in the morning and it's 50 because you forgot to turn the heat on.
Right.
So when those things happen and it becomes cold weather, coldness drains batteries. And so you may have a battery that's working, but if it goes through a cold spell or gets cool, it may quit working on you. So remember, you need to change those batteries at least once a year to go through and change all those batteries out.
All right. Well, I see our time is come and gone. Anything else you want to add before we say goodbye for the day?
No, I just want to congratulate our officers for 2016. What a good year we had. And like I say, as far as I know, from what I'm hearing everywhere I go, people seem to be generally pleased with the sheriff's office, pleased with what we're doing. We are striving every day to try to get better. And I still tell my officers every day when we go in, you do a great job. The public's happy. We're getting things done. But how can we do it better? We need to evaluate that every day.
It's always good to improve,
Yeah,
no matter how great you are. It's
certainly
always. All right. This is WKRK 105.5 FM, 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25, and worldwide we're at country.am. And we're at 61 degrees here in downtown Murphy right now, here at 11:31, and 60 at the airport. Our time is 11:31.
From the WKRK Forecast Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Naramore. So now